Hey everybody, welcome back to Why Not RV. On this week's episode, we're doing another air conditioner replacement. Now, we already have the Gree unit up here, which is an outstanding unit. It's one of the quietest things that's been on the market up till date. We're gonna find out what this new unit does though, because it is an actual true inverter compressor. You might not know what that is, but let me explain. Remember, if you want to learn more and make less mistakes while RVing, be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like and a comment down below. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. So first things first, let me talk a little bit about the actual unit and what it means to be an inverter compressor. Now, a standard air conditioner with a standard compressor kicks on and off as it's calling for cool. And when it is on, it is just on. It's on 100%. There's no 50% or low speed, high speed. It's just period on. With an inverter compressor, the beauty is it can ramp up and down based on the load. So the compressor actually might be on for a longer period of time, but instead of just being on at 100%, it might only be on at 40%. And as it gets warmer, it might ramp up to 60% or 80% and then ramp back down as it cools down. And it does this little wave action instead of just on, off, on, off, on, off. The other huge benefit that comes from an inverter compressor is the noise level. Now, we're gonna get this new unit installed and find out just how quiet it is, but I'm gonna bet it might even be quieter than the Gree unit, which again is an outstanding unit and I love it. I'm not replacing it, but I am gonna replace the one that's over my bedroom, which is a standard Dometic 13.5 BTU air conditioner. Now be sure to stick around to the very end of the video because I'm going to go ahead and do decibel tests for both the Gree and the new Turbro unit, so you can see that. I'm also going to go over power draw. I'm going to show you what it looks like with both units running over a 24-hour period, what it looks like with just this one running over a 24-hour period, and then of course have nothing on in the RV for 24 hours. So I'm going to show you guys that stuff to try and show you how much energy this thing is truly using. So stick around to the end of the video. One last thing to point out about an inverter compressor is in heating mode, okay, because cooling we talk about a little bit, but in heating mode, in the heat pump mode, an inverter compressor, because it can ramp that compressor speed down, it slows the flow of refrigerant down, and so it has more time as it's going through the coil to absorb that heat from outside. So instead of a regular heat pump unit that's good to 40 degrees maybe, these ones are probably going to be good down to into almost the teens. 20 degrees I think is what it's rated for. I'll put it up here on what its actual rating is, but it's going to do a much better job in heat pump mode in the winter. So again, this unit is by the company called Turbro, Turbro, and they do make a couple different things out there. They have a standard 15K BTU air conditioner. This is the inverter heat pump air conditioner, which again, this is a 13.5 unit. Let's go ahead and unbox it. All right, let's go ahead and start by getting the internal portion unboxed and let's take a look at it. That's a pretty unit. That is clean looking. Let's go ahead and get this big outdoor unit checked out, see what it looks like. Well, I'll start by saying it sure doesn't look like it's damaged at all from shipping. It's nice, already has the foam gasket built onto it along with a bunch of foam pads to keep it nice and level. Of course, your main electronic controls. I'm going to go ahead and keep it in this box for now. Let's go ahead and get the indoor unit removed. I will say that the overall profile of this thing is super clean, very low profile. I don't think it's going to be any higher than that Dometic. It might even be a little bit lower, I'm not sure. First things first for the install is we're going to turn off the breaker for the air conditioner. If you are like me and it is not labeled, you don't know which one it is, we just got to guess, but that's mine for my rear unit. I also went ahead and turned the zone to off so that the thermostat is not trying to do anything. Now, first things first for the install is to remove this shroud, which in my case, I think there's just some screws on the sides and stuff that I have to get to and remove for this thing to drop down. All right, once I removed all of my screws from these little spots around the AC, I think I just got 2 remaining here. And now we've exposed the main unit, and look at this problem. Holy crap. This bolt back has backed out from the rooftop, which, you know, sucks it down essentially, and this is backed out, and I had no idea. Maybe something you should all check in your RV every once in a while is pull this shroud off to take a look and make sure your bolts are all torqued down. Fortunately, I haven't had any leaking issues or anything like that, so it has not been a problem. Unfortunately, it is to the rear, but that's not good. That is not good. But now that I have this exposed, I'm going to go ahead and remove my 4 bolts, which will then drop down this little plate here. All right, now I can be dealing with my electrical and drain tube, get this stuff disconnected. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this set of wires because we have obviously the stuff that comes from the RV. All right, so now this is what goes up in the air conditioner itself. This is all from the RV. And now let's go ahead and disconnect our 120 volts. Again, we already have power off into this, so we are fine to work on it. Okay, and then I believe the new air conditioner has essentially like a new type of box built into it. So I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect this right here. So now we got AC disconnected. We got all our DC wiring type of stuff. We got the old air conditioner, AC disconnected, and all the DC stuff disconnected. It's just a little air deflector. So now this unit should be ready to just kind of push up. All right, and now it's disconnected up there, so when I go up on the roof I can safely remove it. All right, so now that I got the unit, I've kind of just shifted it out of place just by picking it up and moving it. We got it to the edge, so now what Rob and I are going to do here on 2 ladders is basically carry it and go 1 step at a time all the way down. So all right, so now with the unit completely removed, we want to make sure we got this nice and clean so there's no more debris and anything for the new foam gasket to make sure it gets a nice good seal. So I've already done that. I've just used some Windex and cleaned this up. That's really all you want to do at this point, is make sure this is nice and clean, free of debris for your new air conditioner to go on top. All right, I went ahead and pulled the cover off the new unit just to show you the inside. So this here is our main control board and our inverter. You can see the heat sink here. You got the compressor here, which is laid down horizontally instead of being stood up. Of course, you got your all your copper lines. This is for the heat pump to switch flow of refrigerant. Underneath here is our coil and everything, the blower motor for underneath here. And of course, we have the condenser fan motor. Okay, so I went ahead. Now this is the second time we were attempting to get this thing up on the roof. The first time we kind of got stuck and then we had to just reset. So don't judge me too much here. I was dead tired. But you can see that as long as you take your time, you have 2 people on 2 separate ladders. This really isn't that difficult to do. Neither of us are very strong. It's really not that hard to do as long as you have 2 people. By yourself, I would say it's pretty close to impossible. Hold it there for a second. Okay, now I just kind of shifted that over to get it over top of the main opening there. So we're gonna go inside and get it all lined up and square it off perfectly. Okay, so now I got the unit up here kind of squared off. I just kind of, shift it. I got my cables hanging down. I have my 120 sitting here. I tucked all of my old DC stuff out of the way because it's not relevant, because this new unit has its own little remote controller. And it's on Wi-Fi and stuff, I believe, so it's on an app. So there's nothing else that's going to tie in with the old system. So the next step, I took all this stuff apart, which is just, as it's packaged, it just is like clips apart, okay? But this is our first mounting plate that needs to go up. And first thing we need to do is determine what size foam block. As you see, they sent 3 different sizes for 3 different size roofs that you need to attach here, okay? And when you do attach it, you're going to take out this little center piece here and take off the foam tape and get it lined up and on there, again, for your size roof. And inside your manual, it tells you exactly what size roof and what size the foam block should be. So for my size roof, I'm going with this medium block. I'm going to get this up, and then the 4 bolts that go to our 4 corners, which is standard for all air conditioners, to get that up, and we'll go from there. All right, so now that these are all nice and tight, and the seal, which you can't really see, is nice and compressed, I got my wires all fed through from the rooftop unit, and we're gonna go ahead and get them plugged into their appropriate spots and get my 120 plugged in. Okay, so I went ahead and fed my AC line, the 110 or 120 volts, whatever you want to call it, through the little gland and out this port here. So now I have from the unit and from the RV, so I'm going to wire that up, get that pushed back in there, and re-secured. All these other cable connections are all very simple. None of them go to any other one except for ones like they're a direct match. Okay, all of them have, you know, either 2 pins or 4 pins or 5 pins or whatever the case is. They cannot be mixed up. So I got those all connected, and then this one we have fed through this little gland here, and this is the one that's going to connect to our actual display and main return cover. So let's get the 110 put together and shoved back in there. Sorry, I forgot to actually record it, but if you don't know how to wire your 120 volt, you probably shouldn't be doing this project by yourself. But you know, black to black, white to white, ground to ground, which is either green or bare copper, nice and tight connections using you know, the twist on connectors, and then stuff back up in here, making sure that all the bare metal is not scraping anything. So anyway, so that's now back up there and secured. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and take our overhead panel, which is labeled very clearly front, which is the front of the RV. I'm going to get this fed through here. And now we take our 4 screws and we go ahead and get this secured. All right, now with that up, filter is already in, but this is your washable filter. We're going to go ahead and get this connection right here. Boom. And again, this is labeled front, so we turn it towards the front. You can see these all just kind of line right up. Oh, we put our front in first. These little hooks go up and in, and then that's it. It clicks in, and then you can click it down, comes out. Really, really nice design. How simple that is. And I mean, look at how clean that looks. All right, with this thing done and mounted, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my breaker back on and test it out. I'm also gonna go ahead and pop my batteries inside the remote and mount this somewhere. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and set up the app. So I downloaded the app by using the QR code. I made an account, and now we've got to this screen. So it says to press this button 5 times within 5 seconds to turn on the Wi-Fi. There we go, it popped up. Alright, type in my password. Once the password was typed in, it popped up and it says it's being added. Okay, so once your app is done and everything, we have the air conditioner right here. So you just click on it and it brings it up, and you can do multiple things in here. So of course we can go ahead and power it on. It turns on almost immediately. Change our temperature, of course. Change what mode it's in, cold, dry, which is a dehumidification or fan only. So you got all those options. You got your fan speed in here, and of course you also have a sleeping mode, as well as setting a schedule and changing if you want Fahrenheit or Celsius. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys the decibel reading here. Now, if I'm completely silent, it drops down to about 40 or so decibels. Right under 40, 39 point whatever. So again, I'm going to go ahead and turn the air conditioner on. Okay, so you can see that we're right at about 64 decibels with the fan on high. Now if I turn it down to fan on low, it doesn't really make much of a difference. It dropped down to 63. So the fan on high to fan on low is pretty minimal, and the compressor is running right now. The compressor makes no difference. It's so quiet. You can't hear the compressor whatsoever. All you hear is the fan. All right, so doing the same test for the Gree unit, you saw again at complete dead silence, we're at about 40 decibels. Now if I go ahead and turn it to on and turn my fan on high. Goes to about 57, 58. Now if I turn the fan to low, drops down to about 54, 55. Here's some initial reviews for me in terms of the noise level of this unit, okay? Now, while the inverter compressor is way more efficient, it's the lowest energy draw, no startup amperage, it ramps up and down. Can't argue that that has everything else beat that's on the market right now, including the Gree unit, obviously. The Gree unit is an absolutely wonderful unit. However, Turbro, in my opinion, didn't do that great of a design for this inside unit. While it's visually appealing and it's a beautiful unit, I really like the look of it. The air delivery system, we'll call it, creates a lot of turbulence because it basically just dumps down and then has to spread around to come out these vents on the front and back side. Versus the Gree unit, this Gree unit here, it's, I mean, whisper quiet, which, you know, the main noise inside of an RV is coming from just the airflow. The compressor itself, depending on the RV, you know, you might hear it running, you might not hear it running. It's not that much more noise level. It's that main air that's coming out of these units. It's just usually just ridiculously loud. And this Gree unit, the way that they did this ducted system inside of here, and it is just whisper quiet. So the Gree unit is still way quieter of a unit, but that Turbro unit is way more efficient of a unit, uses way less energy. One other feature I really like about this unit that I didn't even know about is it has this awesome light. So you have regular white, you have blue, and you have more like a off-white, you know, that yellowish kind of soft white. And you know, just down in a regular room, it's a really nice ambient light that's not directly in your eyes. Of course, standing back here, I'm looking, you can see up into it, but it's not like, you know, a direct light going right down into you. It's hitting the ceiling, coming out. So it's really, really nice. Let's show you what just the Turbro unit does by itself completely. Okay, so right now we're at 151 watts in the RV. That's all the normal stuff. No air conditioning is on, no extra fans are on or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the Turbro unit on, and the compressor is kicking on. So again, it was at 150 watts. So let's just watch this compressor again slowly ramp up, which I just love. No startup amperage or anything like that. Goes up to 400, compressor's ramping up, 500, 600, 700, 740, 750. All right, so it's basically leveled off here at 750 watts, which again, we were at 150 watts before. So that means that the Turbro unit on its normal cooling full blast is pulling 600 watts. Now, if you don't already know, an average RV air conditioner pulls 14 to 1600 watts while it's running. Now, that's not including its startup amperage, which is usually up into the 25 or even 3000 watts. But, you know, just the running amperage being 14 to 1600 on average. The Gree unit pulls, I think, about 800 or so on average, and this thing is only pulling 600 watts. So it's insanely energy efficient. All right, let me start by showing you guys some of the big numbers here, okay? So for these days all here, I had both air conditioners running, and we averaged basically about 20 to 22 kilowatt hours over the course of 24 hours. Now, I went ahead and turned off the Gree unit, only had the new Turbro unit running, and it went down to 11.95 or just under 12 kilowatt hours over a 24-hour period. Now, of course, there's still other things running, such as my computer, monitor, TVs, charging, etc. So I went ahead and turned off both air conditioners and opened up all my windows and just suffered the heat a little bit, because it was basically 85 degrees all of these days here, right? Mid 80s. So now this day had nothing else on, just the regular stuff in the RV, and I still pulled 6.16. So if I'm pulling 6 kilowatt hours over a 24-hour period, that means that realistically these 20 to 22 for both air conditioners, just the air conditioners themselves to be running, is more around the, you know, 14, 15 kilowatt hours in total. And then again, here where it pulled 11.95, let's just call it 12 kilowatt hours, and this pulled just over 6. So that means less than 6 kilowatt hours it took to run that Turbro unit over a 24-hour period, again, while the temperatures were in the mid-80s. Now, to show you that the temperatures were in the mid-80s, I have right here the exterior temperature, and turn off the humidity on these. So you can see, and so this is our exterior temperature over all these days, and you can see that the peak was 88. Now again, those last few days, it was basically 85 degrees, 84.7, 84.6. This was a day that the Turbro was all by itself, 85.1, and then again a day that I had everything off, 84.7. So again, right there, mid 80s. So I hope that gives you guys enough data to collect and take in for yourself. If you want me to do some more specific tests, I'm happy to do that. I am going to be doing a heat pump review once I get this thing back up north here in a few weeks, and I'm down into some freezing temperatures. I'm going to be doing another follow-up review video. But again, this right now, I just wanted to show you guys some initial numbers, just show you how energy efficient this thing is, how quiet it is. It's a great unit. That's it for this week's video. If you have any questions, make sure to drop in the comments down below. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Why Not RV. Bye.